recording. Yes. Okay, Doctor. So, hello Patreon. Ironically, this episode of EDAR, Every Doctor of Generation, based off EFAP, as you all should know, go check out MauLer's channel. We are doing a breakdown of a review to the film, not the film, my words are jumbled.
The episode.
The episode that we reviewed, Mission to the Unknown. So we're doing an EDAR of something
which was very good.
So we're doing an EDAR of something we already EDAR'd.
We're going full EDAR.
Yep. EDARception. And ironically, this is a Patreon exclusive video, and what we are reviewing is also a Patreon exclusive video of Winky Media's review of this episode. So I suggest you go, if you're interested in his content, go check out his YouTube channel, and even further, go check out his Patreon, because it's only $1 a month to see his reviews of episodes. I think that's a pretty good deal. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal.
And even though I disagree with like thousands of his opinions, I respect him because he's actually a really nice guy.
And even for this video, if we go through many points and we massively disagree and it gets us angry, for example, don't go and tell him, hey, yeah, he's just putting his opinion out there.
He's a nice
even
lad.
if it is wrong.
Even
if his opinion is wrong, don't go and berate him. You know, we're allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, he's a nice lad. But anyway, we're gonna watch his review of A Mission to the Unknown, and if we disagree or agree, we'll pause it and we'll
discuss it.
We'll have a chat. You know, have a little discussion. So, are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Hello Patreon, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Now this one is a little bit different because this technically isn't an original story, but it is. Well, you know what it is. It's the remake of Mission to the Unknown, which was done recently by the University of Central Lancashire, I believe it is. If you don't know the background, decided to recreate the story. I think that's what it is. I don't know too much about it or why it was made or anything like that, but hey, it's a missing story that has been remade, it's been redone. It's not quite the original, it isn't going to be 100% perfect or accurate, but it's better than nothing. Now, Mission to the Unknown is also a very unique Doctor Who story in...
I just wanted to say that whilst I understand why he does it, I'm not a fan of his editing style. It feels so structured.
Oh yeah, because it does definitely feel like UK YouTuber editing or just like pulp culture, if you get what I mean. Because like over here we have loads of people like KSI, fucking who else?
Jack Mate.
I'm trying to remember some of it. Jack Mate, yeah, I really actually do like Jack Mate, to be honest.
Oh no, he's a great guy, but his editing.
Yeah, it is of that editing of its constant motion, music in the background, multiple cuts towards the face whenever you change a sentence structure or anything like that. It is very much British YouTuber editing, is what I would say it is. So I'm very used to it. So, but I get it does get a bit jarring.
It's just he does it in every video, and I'm sick of it.
Yeah, and I guess in a way it's like constant motion. It's easy to look at, I guess, for some people.
On first glance, it's very interactive, but it's just that he does the exact same techniques in every video, and I get sick of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just stopping the music for the funny part bit, I've never been a fan of.
Yeah, like if you ever listened like to some people and you listen to the music they use, if you actually just listen to the music, sometimes they play it for 3 seconds, stop, play it for another 2 seconds, then stop again. You know, it's very weird editing.
It's like Ellen DeGeneres humor.
Because she's funny.
Anyway.
In of itself anyway, because this is, I'm pretty sure, the only Doctor Who story in which the Doctor, nor the companions, or the TARDIS actually make any sort of appearance whatsoever. This story was done as sort of a...
Oh,
now the lighting's changed.
Hang on a sec, mine's buffering.
Prequel to the videos where I've talked about...
Are you on 1 minute 06?
No, 04.
Or 05?
04.
Okay. I'll rewind it back to 1 minute. Is that good?
Yeah.
Dalek's master plan, which, if you have watched any of my videos where I've talked about missing stories, or whenever I've mentioned missing stories, I really want to see. It is a 12-part story.
Yeah.
It is filled with such mystery for me, because
he really hates the telesnaps. Like he just can't watch them.
I can understand that, but that it's like like he even says in this video, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, but he would much rather have animations, and so would I. But I,
of course, yeah.
But the difference being is I still have watched all those stories, regardless. I still watch them with the telesnaps, so I can watch the story. Yeah. It's just a shame that he hasn't been able to see them because he can't sit through his telesnaps, which is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, but like he says, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, telesnaps is a hard thing to get through, I will say. But I think
I probably would have a struggle for it.
But I think
there's stuff in constant motion.
Yeah, I think there's some stories where it's fine though, like Marco Polo and the Massacre and the Crusade work really well with telesnaps. But then there's others that don't. But yeah, I mean, if they all got animated, then should be great.
Yeah.
This long, epic Dalek story where Nicholas Courtney actually makes his first appearance in Doctor Who, obviously not as the Brigadier, and we have the Daleks with arguably their greatest scheme yet and what have you. It's just one of those stories that I've wanted to see, and to have the prelude to it, I was very, very curious. I was very interested when I first heard that they were doing this. So now that I've seen it, what do I think of it? Well, first and foremost, I have to admit that the production value and the way that this story has been made, you can tell that it is 100% a passion project.
Yes.
You can tell that the people behind this...
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's, like we said, it is completely clear as day that they put a lot of care and thought into making this. Like I mentioned a lot, the set design of the spaceship, for example, is so classic Doctor Who. You can very clearly tell that everybody who worked on it has seen so much of classic Who and wanted to make it as like similar as possible, and I think they did an ace job with that. So I agree with him on that.
Yep.
So far, so good.
Yep. Hit that play button.
Genuinely have some sort of interest in Doctor Who. They genuinely love Doctor Who, and that is brilliant to see. The actors in this, the way that it is shot, the sets, everything about it feels like it could have been made back in the 1960s. Obviously, technology is different now, things are updated, so it's not going to be 100% bang on, but the way that they try to emulate the way things were done back then, whether it's certain camera movements, people accidentally fluffing up lines here and again, the fact that the aspect ratio is what it was back in the day as well is brilliant. Before I say anything critical about this story, anything that I'm going to say is not directed towards the production team or the actors in this at all, because I think they all did a fantastic job.
I mean, because you would say if it would. You don't have to... The thing is when everyone's like critiquing something, it does annoy to an extent that they have to like say, well, if towards here is fine. It's like, well, then you don't just say it on your critique. If you get what I'm saying?
Oh, he's saying it as a disclaimer, though, because
I completely get that. But like, no, if someone accuses someone when they critique something, like, oh, you're attacking them, is like, I wouldn't even respond to them, because it's just baffling stupid if someone thinks that when I'm critiquing something. You know?
Yeah, and also the things that we're agreeing with him on are like objective things.
Yeah. Exactly. And I don't feel like, even with his like criticisms of the episode, I have no doubt like he's not doing it just to attack them. He actually feels that there's stuff to be criticised. Whether we agree with him or not is to be seen.
Well, you'll see what he has to say.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to say, "Oh, I'm not attacking," or like going after that. If you get what I mean.
Well, I mean, he's been involved in a few kerfuffles with sensitive fans.
I'm sure he has, but for this, I wouldn't assume that he would. I assume. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt in that aspect.
John, my main gripe with this, well, I have two, really. First and foremost, the music. I wasn't too keen on the music because I felt that it didn't quite. I mean, obviously, I have not seen the original, so I don't know. But it didn't quite feel like 60s Doctor Who to me.
Okay.
It felt like
Let me put
modern
it, hang
era
on. Let me put it this way. The score is the same music that's used in the original. It's just done on updated equipment. So the mixing sounds a bit too stereo, which makes it sound a bit deep, which doesn't sound right for the story, but the actual music itself is the same.
I thought it was fine.
It's just remastered, basically. That's how it feels. The only
To be honest, I hardly didn't notice the music, but I didn't feel like they used not enough music. Sorry, they didn't use music that much. They used it quite a few times, and for what it was, I thought it was completely fine. Didn't feel like it. I did feel like it did add to the atmosphere, especially the first scene. I thought the music in that was great.
Now, I honestly think his issue with it comes, I mean, just me guessing, but I honestly think it's because the quality of the music is too high and it sounds mixed, whereas the original is compressed.
Yeah.
And that's the same criticism I had, but it's a nitpick, and they did a brilliant job of recreating the score. And it actually makes it very cinematic.
And even then, for me, I didn't really notice that. So I don't. It's like you said, it's like makes it feel less like classically because it's too good. If you get what I mean, like you said, I feel like obviously they could have done that, and they'd be like more in tone with the classic episode. But I don't really see that as a massive problem.
Moving on.
Doctor Who music trying to feel like 60s Doctor Who, if that makes sense. Sometimes the music was a bit overbearing, it was a bit much. And again, it might have been like that in the original, we don't know.
It was.
Or at least I...
Well, we do know because we can watch it.
Have you not seen the anime?
It's like because like he mentioned the telesnaps, so he could be like, "Oh, we don't know." It's like you don't know. We probably know. If we've seen
not only is there a telesnap recon, but there's also an animation as well.
Yeah. So like you can absolutely tell if it's there. Just say you don't know. You don't have to say we. Is really what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah.
But if that's what it was like, that's what it was like, and people probably liked it at the time. So.
I don't know. But then again, because it's classic Doctor Who, technically, then music isn't really a major part of it anyway.
I'd argue music in classic Who does matter.
Ooh.
Like, okay, for example, right? I just watched Planet of Fire. I thought the music in that was fucking amazing. The episode itself wasn't great, but I thought the music in that episode was really, really good. So I massively disagree with you on that.
Yeah,
music
especially 60s Who. The music in 60s Who is amazing.
I don't agree with him at all because I feel like the music in that gives you, like for example, Enemy of the World. It creates such a great atmosphere. So I completely disagree with him.
The Daleks wouldn't be the Daleks without the Daleks theme.
Exactly. So I disagree massively that music, doesn't matter in classic Who because like it does. It absolutely does. So yeah, I think he's wrong there.
Particularly in the 1960s.
No,
the main gripe that I have with the story is
No, I argue the opposite. I'd argue out of all of classic Who, the 60s is where it's most important.
Oh yeah, considering how like limited it is, I would say in some aspects, music is a big thing. I would argue.
Yeah.
Because you don't have like for example the color, so you can't emphasize a certain feeling from the color. The music is there to help build up that atmosphere or feeling of that scene.
Yep, and some of the best scores in the show come from the 60s as well.
Yeah, I would like for example, Silver Nemesis has a fucking awful music track.
Ugh.
And that was near the show's end in that era. But I would argue that there are in episodes from its past that are 1,000 times better.
Yep. God, fucking hell, this guy has like The Invasion as top 10. That has one of the best scores. Does he not remember that?
Ugh.
Anyway. Push the button.
The script, to me, feels really stilted, and it feels really obvious in the sense that...
What does he mean by obvious? Because they're talking to each other?
I think it's
and
about...
I guess you could argue the expedition between the two characters, but I didn't feel that was jarring at all.
I think he's about to explain.
Well, from his initial statement, I don't agree that it was like purely obvious.
I mean, there was a mystery.
Yeah, there's like we haven't learned everything. Like in the concept of the whole story of the Daleks' master plan, we don't know everything.
Yeah, if you're watching this on broadcast, you wouldn't know that
We
Daleks
know
are there.
bare minimum. We know bare minimum of what we need to know going into the story.
We don't know the Daleks are there until he says.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh well.
People are saying things that don't necessarily feel the most natural. So instead of going into
You know
detail...
why? You know why? Because they're from the future and they're aliens.
Plus, like, the guy who, like, what we mentioned was panicking a lot, he asked about what he's, like, talking about, and the guy's giving him an explanation.
Yeah.
I can see where he's coming from, I just don't agree and don't think that's right.
Yeah, it's...
I don't
beef.
agree.
about stuff, they'll just say basic stuff like, oh, you will have this and then this will happen. It feels like it was written to be performed.
That's not what they say.
I think he's saying that's an example of the kind of thing they say. He's sort of paraphrasing.
Okay, alright.
As opposed to natural dialogue. And again, this is not the problem of the production team or the people who are behind this remake. This is the problem.
Hang on. But what's more natural than wanting to know what's going on if you're an expeditioner?
Yeah. I mean, you could argue it's like tell, not show, I guess. But no dialogue in a TV series or film series or anything is natural because it's all dialogue. It's just what feels the most real.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, I wouldn't say it's genius or anything, but it doesn't.
It's good dialogue, I'd
good.
argue, and
like,
it isn't.
It doesn't not make sense. Like these guys have landed here, and there's a Dalek.
The guy doesn't know what's going on. He's
There's,
panicking.
like,
He's asking these questions,
Yeah.
and the guy who's very, very calm is explaining to him in detail that the guy needs to know.
It's a Dalek like investigator as well.
Yeah, so he knows what he's talking about.
I don't see
and the
how
other
it's
guy
not.
doesn't.
I don't see how it's not natural because for their characters, it makes sense why they would say that, and it's not like they have any other personality traits beyond that. It's a fucking 20-minute episode. What do you want?
And plus, it's a prequel to a whole other story.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't see.
So what the cool point of the episode is meant to be doing is setting up for the actual story. What it's meant to be doing is setting up for the Daleks' master plan.
And the appeal of these characters that we meet in the story is the sense that it shows you that deep space is beyond just the Doctor, and it's fucking amazing. So one of my favorite parts about the story is the fact that there's characters outside of the companions we see.
Yeah. I don't agree that it does. Like, no dialogue is natural. It's just how real it feels or sounds within the story it's in. Like, for example, the prequel films, that dialogue, it's all like unnatural, but it doesn't feel real at the same time as well. With the originals, the dialogue is like not real, but it feels real. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, the dialogue in that is great.
Yeah, even the Jedi stuff.
But it's all needed to set up the story.
Yep.
Like, for example, Han and Leia, their dialogue in their first interactions is to set up what they're going to go through for the whole film. and it works.
And fucking Mark Corey saying it's the Daleks makes sense because it's the fucking Daleks.
So what is he not going to say it's the Daleks? Is he going to say, oh, no, you don't need to worry, even though he knows it's the Daleks, you know? Is he not going to tell him what's going on? Are we good? Because like, if we didn't say, I guess you could argue, you could show a shot of the Daleks, and that would be the reveal. But is the other thing necessarily bad? It's like, I don't know. I just don't agree that he saying that the dialogue is like, it doesn't feel like what they would actually say, or at the very least feel real.
Well, how would you know? You've just met them.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Terry Nation. And now this, to be fair, isn't an issue with purely this story. Terry Nation scripts do have that. Not all of them. You could say a story like Genesis, for example, it has examples of this, but overall you would say that the dialogue is actually quite rich.
Would you agree with that?
Well, what examples?
Since you've seen more Terry Nation stories than I have.
Hang on, but what examples is he talking about? He hasn't given examples.
Well, he gave an example of like Genesis. That is a good piece of Terry Nation writing, but he's not saying.
No.
I guess he's saying.
Well, he's saying that there's bits and pieces in Genesis that sound like that, but most of it's rich. And I'm like, yeah, but where's the fucking example? Like, I'm not gonna know what you think. You have to tell me what you think is unnatural.
Well, maybe he says that. Let's give him a chance. You know, yeah. It's his opinion. It's his opinion.
All right.
In that story. In a story like this, though, because it's just a one-parter, I don't really feel like, as a prequel or a prelude to Dalek Master Plan, this script would have gotten me excited for the upcoming story.
That's a shame.
I don't believe that.
That's a shame.
I don't believe that anyway. I don't believe him when he says that.
Yeah, because he literally says that he wants to see it.
Regardless of it, it's a missing story, and it will come out with an animation, for example. If this was available, he'd never seen it before, and he saw this, is he then going to say that he wouldn't watch it?
And also, if you're watching it when it aired, it's the fucking Daleks. They're back.
Exactly. You got to remember, this is about the Daleks. You absolutely will fucking watch it, because it's the fucking Daleks.
And you don't know what's next.
Exactly. They are not saying everything. They're talking about the master plan, but you don't know in full detail what it is. And I'm assuming, since I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming that they do that in the story. They explain what their overarching plans are.
Well, you'd think so in 12 episodes.
Exactly, or else it would really drag. Like, if we knew everything from this episode, I would probably argue, even though it's got Daleks in it, it might be pretty boring.
Or just a bit of
because there's nothing to develop on.
Exposition dump.
Yeah, there is expedition in this through dialogue. I completely agree.
Oh, but it's so mysterious. It's so mysterious, though.
It's not enough to say, "Oh, I know everything."
But it's got so much intrigue.
Or it's so unnatural.
Oh, I'd argue it's intriguing. Well, I really want to know.
Yeah, I agree. That is quite intriguing. I really like the dialogue.
I mean, this story is basically the cold open to the Daleks' master plan, really.
Yeah.
The script feels like it could have been a couple of scenes within Dalek Master Plan.
I guess.
Have you ever?
I guess it could, but it isn't.
Have you ever seen?
I mean, you're not wrong, I guess, but it's not.
Have you ever seen like a massive story, Wingy Media? I'm sure you have. This kind of thing happens.
Plus, he hasn't seen it, so I don't really necessarily think he could say that.
It's
like, would this fit? I really don't think it would.
No, but the thing is, I really like that we get like a whole episode for this section of the story because it actually explores it from the point of view of these side cast. It's like the same reason why I love Love and Monsters, the fact that it explores people that are affected by the events that happen.
Yeah. Regardless of, for example, that episode, regardless of the full execution overall, I think the concepts are really good of people you've learned.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like Love Monsters, obviously it's like the Earth stuff, right? With Mission to the Unknown, these people are from deep space in the future, and they're being affected by the Daleks.
Yeah.
It shows you that it's not just the Doctor which makes the universe feel big. It's like it's just like
It makes it feel more grounded and more lived in, and it's a example of world building.
it's just like
It doesn't feel hollow.
It's just like we were saying about the bounty hunters in Empire.
Yeah. Like the episode doesn't feel hollow, or at least the world at that point in time in the show doesn't feel. There's more stuff going on.
The first time I saw the Alliance, I was like, "Holy shit, this universe is big."
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they are all...
But they've just been blown.
I was going to say the fact that they're all tyrannical leaders from their own planet.
Yeah. It makes it there's more of a world to explore about these different creatures.
Now, and they've been stretched. So, for example, there's a scene where they talk about these thorns, and if you get infected with these thorns, you turn into this plant. I think it's called the Vargas or something like that. The explanation behind them, I feel like that could have been in Dalek Master Plan. I don't know how they get.
Why though?
But you need to see what they do.
Are they important to the Dalek's master plan as an overall story?
Yeah, but it's different. Like I like within Mission to the Unknown. Let's just talk about that episode individually. I like the fact that you actually see a full cycle of what happens to people who get attacked by them.
You learn what happens to them. You
Yeah.
learn the full cycle of
And
a
it's-
person getting infected
and-
then turning into them.
Yeah, and the
So you know what happens.
and
you know how
the whole
terrible
Hitchcock
it could be.
the whole Hitchcock thing of tension, the fact that you see what happens to them from start to finish, it means that in Dalek's master plan, when the Vargas are around, you know what will happen to them if they're attacked.
And then we see it from the beginning, and then what happens when someone fully changes, and we see an example of someone getting infected and then doing the whole trying to kill someone, and they get. So we see multiple instances of how they work, how they are dangerous for tension.
And also the performances as well really sell the agony of being stung by a Varga. I love the desperation when he pulls the needle out and he has to suck his blood. Like, that's way more interesting than just being like, oh, well, these Varga plants are poisonous. Don't touch them.
Like, we see what happens to them before we get a full explanation. They actually do. So I don't even agree with him there. Like he said, he feels like it's so obvious and so stated, but we get to see someone fully turn into one before we get an explanation of what they actually are.
Yeah, and it's fucking creepy
So
as well.
it's a show not tell
There's a
moment.
scene where he, like, his hand's shaking and then he flips it over. It's like classic horror.
Yeah. Exactly. So I even then, he said that it's so obvious, so there's an example of it's not, but you see it's a danger. Show not tell.
Get into it in Dalek Master Plan, or if it's relevant to the plot whatsoever. I imagine it probably is. But it just feels like something that didn't really need a prequel, you know, like a 20-minute thing to explain that. And obviously it's not the main.
The thing
Well,
is...
it's not all about just the plants.
The thing is, though, you have to understand about Classic Who, is that people always say this is like, oh, it doesn't need this much time. You can make a much tighter story, and that's definitely true. But on the contrary to that, when you have a longer story, you get to explore it more. And I find that a story like Dalek's Master Plan with more time actually breathes further. And I think that while some people might think of it as padding, I consider it like, you know, it's like a journey. It makes it feel epic and long. It's the same reason why some people like Lord of the Rings, because it has all the filler bits in between. Like when people watch extended editions of Lord of the Rings, it's because they want more. It's the same thing with Dalek's Master Plan. Like, yeah, you could have told it in 6 episodes, but they stretched it out and did more with it and expanded it. And I like that Mission to the Unknown exists. I wouldn't change that. And I don't have a problem with them exploring this little side story with these guys who get fucking massacred. It completely sets up the Daleks for the story.
Yeah, I agree.
Main basis of that, there is a few different elements to this, like the space crew, the actual Daleks forming an alliance, But again, all of these things could have been done within the story, and it just makes me a bit worried to see Dark.
Well, I guess what you can argue is that they're doing it here so that they get time with the story to develop other things.
Well, I mean, I really like the fact that the Daleks are already one step ahead by the time the Doctor gets there.
Yeah. This is what that story is establishing, that the Daleks are setting out plans and the Doctor
I like
doesn't even
in between Galaxy 4 and the Mythmakers, it's like meanwhile across space. It's classic, like, you know, universe storytelling where it's like you got multiple things going on at once. And then when the fact that the Doctor has to be on the back foot for the whole story, the fact that he's one step behind the Daleks and the Alliance, that's what makes it so tense. Because he's trying to figure out what's going on, and we already know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel like that his argument of, well, you could have just done this in Dalek's master plan. It's like, well, what they're doing here is that they're giving Dalek's master plan more time to develop other things.
It's like saying...
Isn't that good? Isn't that a good thing?
It's like saying that. It's like if you said, like, oh, you should have just established Satellite 5 and Bad Wolf. It's like, no, but the long game existing makes it feel big. It gives
because if long game didn't exist, then it would be a hard time having to explain the whole Satellite 5. Let's be honest, long game is a flawed... was better, but at the very least, it establishes Satellite 5.
Everything that the long game ties to with Bad Wolf is amazing.
Yeah. It's just the story within that should have been better. But at the very least, it's establishing the core location of Bad Wolf and Pine.
But having that considered, I think Russell put his focus where he needed to with that series.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Obviously, we always wish that the story was better, but he put his focus
the
where he could.
The only thing I would suggest is maybe get a co-writer for the long game.
Yeah.
That would be the only other thing I'd say.
Yeah. So I disagree with his point that they could have just done this in Dalek's master plan.
God.
It's like,
if they'd fixed the
I don't agree.
If they'd fixed the long game, series 1 would be like perfect.
It literally would be. Well, take out Adam Mitchell and then it literally would be almost perfect.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Dalek master plan, if I ever do, whether they do an animation of it, I don't know. Because if I felt like, if this one part story felt drawn out, then what's the whole 12 parts going to be like?
No.
But again, the problem there
The
is
whole
the script. It's
12
not the way
parts are about the Dalek's master plan. It's in the title.
I don't like how he considers what I love about 60s Doctor Who padding. I think this is one of the biggest disagreements I have with him, because I know he doesn't like the first Doctor's era, and this is one of the biggest reasons, is that he thinks it's full of padding, and I'm like, but that's what makes this...
It's not padding, it's expedition, and it's important.
Yeah, that's what makes the story so different to the rest of the show.
I guarantee that everything in this story was important to Dalek's master plan.
Yeah, I mean, compared to another story, Marco Polo is a 7-parter, and if you had make it any shorter, it wouldn't feel as grand, because they have to travel all the way from the Himalayas to China.
Yeah.
And that's a long journey. So, if you had made it any shorter, it wouldn't be believable. And the fact that they have to go on this massive journey is part of the reason why the 7 parts works. It's the same thing with Dalek's master plan. It's not fucking padding. It's just a long story.
Padding is bad if what they're doing means nothing to the overall story.
He has the same problem with the war games as well, and I got beef with that.
But it's like, it's padding if what we're seeing doesn't matter to the overall plot. At the very least, that's what I think what padding is. Because what it's doing, it's wasting time so that their overall story doesn't have to develop any more than they could only come up with.
Yeah, there's a section in Day of the Moon where it's just River talking about, like, sex. And that's padding. That is padding.
Now, that's a spoiler for ya.
Like, that's actual padding. And the fucking the flesh two-parter, that's padding.
That's padding. And what that is only existing for is for Amy's, like, the Amy twist. That's the only reason that story exists. They just add the, like, us versus them element to it to then make to at least try to make the story interesting.
Yeah.
The only reason it exists literally is to explain the whole mystery person in these things, and then the twist of she's never been.
Now, I will say, within the 12 episodes of Dalek's Master Plan, there are some parts that you could absolutely consider padding. However, the difference being it's expansive and it adds on top of what you've already gotten rather than filling in time.
Yeah. So, like, and we're just talking about this episode that he's reviewing. It's like, I don't agree that there's padding in this because I feel like every moment is important to the Dalek's Master Plan story.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even seen it, and I'd imagine it's still important.
It is. Sets up everything.
Yeah. So, and it's like he saying that is padding, yet he has no idea if it's.
I mean, I saw a commenter say that Mission to the Unknown is like the equivalent to Rogue One. Like Rogue One to A New Hope is Mission to the Unknown to the Daleks' Master Plan. Basically, the way they function.
I think that's a good comparison to have.
Yeah, so that would be like saying Rogue One's padding. I'm like, yeah, I suppose as a film as a whole you could say maybe, but I don't think within the story itself it's padding at all. Like, it's actually quite...
Like, for example, so that in that instance then you could watch Dalek's Master Plan and be fine, but then if you watch Mission to the Unknown, you get these sort of setups for it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is about Mission to the Unknown compared to Rogue One is that in Mission to the Unknown, they don't succeed.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Yeah.
This thing was made because, like I say, this is 100% a passion project that has really, really come off, and it shows that there are Doctor Who fans out there still who genuinely love the classic series, and that is a great thing to see. Nicholas Briggs is involved in this as well, of course. If you're going to do Daleks and you want Dalek voices, you are going to get Nicholas Briggs, and I really want to praise his performance as the Daleks in this because he absolutely captures the original 60s Dalek voices, the way that he will deliver certain
I agree.
Yeah.
Daleks with a certain cadence, other Daleks with a different cadence, and they do sound very reminiscent of the style of those Daleks back in the day. You can tell that Nicholas Briggs is a huge fan of the Daleks. Obviously, that's why he voices them, you know. He is clearly somebody who's very knowledgeable of.
Well, he voices them because he's good at it.
Yeah, but he's
different. It's not purely just that he's Dalek. Like, we all love the Daleks, but we're not the voice actors of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Them. If you've seen him talk about the Daleks in documentaries or in interviews or anything like that. I can't remember the name of the character now, but the guy in this who turns out to be an agent that is monitoring the Daleks.
Corey.
He is the standout performer for
Yeah,
this.
he is.
I thought he was brilliant.
I agree.
He captured everything that I would have wanted to see from a recreation of a 1960s Doctor Who story. He plays the part like he is back in 1965, whenever it would have been. Even his face and his hair just looks like an actor from back in, you know, the mid 20th century. So yeah, whilst I found the script a bit meh, I did think that overall this was a wonderful watch. It really gives me hope that the Doctor Who community is actually full of decent people still, because there was a point where I thought, you know what, maybe it's not, including myself. I watched some of my videos back and I was like, what a fucking knob. But anyway, Mission to the Unknown, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. It would.
That's actually pretty.
If it was the original, I probably would have given this a 5.
I mean, I guess that's a positive rating, but the thing is, his criticisms I don't think are right. That's the problem I have with him.
I think I might be slightly ahead of you.
But I've given it 2 extra points. It's just because of the heart behind it and the spirit behind it, you know, from the sets to the.
So he critically, if he was just judging it just on the story, he'd give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which is very low because it's not a 5 out of 10 story. Legit, it is like a very. This episode is only 25 minutes or around about that. So it has very little time to make mistakes. It's jam-packed to the brig. It's constantly in motion. No moment feels wasted. Sure, there are a few hokey bits of like performances, like from a few people from the Alliance, but that's pretty much it. Everyone else I think is great. I think it's very well structured. I think the pacing is very good, and I think there's a very good atmosphere of fear that they build up really well.
Yeah, and it's bloody interesting.
Yeah, it's never a bore.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with his critical ranking of 5 out of 10.
Yeah, and after watching that, I'm like, I fucking need to see Dalek's master plan now. Because it's, yeah, for me anyway, like, just, ugh. When I was like, yep, they need to do animation. They won't, but they need to, because we need to watch it. Because it's great.
Yeah.
Dalek voices, to the costumes, to the way that it's acted and shot, and the aspect ratio, everything about it I thought was done incredibly well. So shout out to everybody who was involved with this. If you haven't seen it, it is on YouTube. It's on the official Doctor Who channel, so go and check it out. It is definitely worth the watch. But if you have seen it, let me know what you think. Next time out, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I never seem to fucking know what I'm doing. It just sort of happens. Probably the War Games, actually. I watched that recently, so I might do that one. If not, then don't hold me to it, but I'm aiming to do the War Games. Thank you, as always, for supporting me on this,
don't hold him
YouTube,
to it,
wherever else. I genuinely appreciate it from the bottom of my cold, dead heart. But you guys always seem to warm it up somewhat. So, with that dickhead ending out the way, I will see you guys later.
Fucking music.
Yes. So yeah, I think that was his criticisms were pretty poor.
Yeah.
Like his argument was that he thought the music wasn't great, and that it felt like it was padding a lot, and that the exposition and dialogue wasn't good.
I feel like it's kind of black and white though, because if you think it's padding, then
it's very bare minimum.
If you think it's padding, then you must think that the entire thing is padding. That's the thing. It's like, because I don't see how anything within the episode is inconsistent.
I don't feel like there's any point where the story works. I don't feel there's no scene in this story, in this one-off story, that feels like it shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that criticism. That would make it would make more sense if this was a multi-part story, if this specific thing was a multi-part story, but it's not. It's a one-off. It's one episode. It's 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I like saying there's padding within a 25-minute episode is odd. I don't see how you can have padding in a 25-minute episode.
Yeah. It's
You can in a multi-part story of any Kasuku story, but this is a one-off.
Yeah, it's weird that he said that. I feel like, again, it would only make sense to me if he thought the entire story itself was padding, considering that it's a setup, which I suppose I mildly understand but disagree with, because I think the entire thing is brilliant.
Yeah. I think critically, when we're talking about it, we can agree that obviously it is of its era, but that doesn't make it. That doesn't necessarily think it makes it bad, you know.
Yeah, I think it's quite creative.
Yeah,
I really like it.
I think it makes sense as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, while I appreciate his opinion, I think it's wrong.
It's also one of the few times Classic Who seasons actually feel like a season. Rather than just a bunch of one-off stories, they actually
rather than just a couple of stories lumped together within a certain amount. It actually feels like there's an overarching story.
Yeah.
It feels like there's something you're looking for.
Yeah, fucking... Oh, Dalek's master plan. That's the dream.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I would absolutely love to watch the animation of it.
Yeah, it's just 12 episodes. I mean, technically 3 of them still exist, but like, still like 9 episodes. That's a lot.
But yeah, the fucking mission to the unknown. And this person, while I understand they may have these problems, I don't think he's right.
Yeah, I disagree with him on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I really do disagree with him on the criticisms that he has.
He hates.
I agree with him with the production. I agree with him with like production and all that, and I do agree that the main actor was really good.
With the macro terror recently
hang on,
being
pause. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. I disagree with him in general with a lot of his Doctor Who opinions.
Yeah.
Like he really doesn't like gridlock. Yet it's just there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah. Though there was one thing that we do agree on. That's Hellbent is the worst episode. So there you go.
Hey, see, even in the end, we all understand and know that Hellbent fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So there's a silver lining within every opinion.
Yes. Where is it? Actually, I should probably start from the beginning, honestly. Because you probably haven't seen this video, have you?
No, I haven't.
Right, this is a breakdown of all the missing stories and like what the chances are of them being animated. I think it's pretty cool.
With the macro terror recently being animated and the announcement that the Faceless Ones is next in line, many people have questioned what is next. Today on Doctor Who,
he was the guy who did the behind the
Speculation,
scenes
we'll
for
be looking at the stories
Mission
that
to the
are most
Unknown.
likely to be animated, stories I'd like to see done, and the chances that episodes may return. Earlier this year, in an article by Digital Spy, one of the producers of these animations, Charles Norton, discussed why some serials are animated while others are ignored. He discussed problems such as the amount of episodes, the number of cast members, and the existing audio quality of each episode. He used The Crusade as a prime example of this problem, basically stating it's impossible on the budgets received. As a general rule of thumb, any audio recordings before the Daleks' master plan exist in pretty poor quality. This is because Graham Strong had not begun recording episodes yet, and his recording method produced the best results. My Missing Episode series goes into detail on this. The recently recovered Randolph tapes are the recordings of Master Plan to MooLer.
Oh, we're so lucky to have
no
this.
new recordings of early
So,
episodes exist.
It was the 1st of January this year. It was announced that someone found master tapes of like every story from like season 3 to 5. Like the audio tapes, because before a lot of them were in quite sort of shitty quality audio recordings from like the TV back in the day, but someone found the actual master tapes that were used for the episodes from everything from like season 3 to 5. So like, and they've been released on vinyl.
Exist to those who are already writing in the comment section. After this interview with Charles Norton, Matthew Purchase on Twitter tallied up the amount of episodes and the amount of characters, not including extras, for each missing story. This was based on Norton's notes, so we could have a rough idea of what is most likely to be animated. I have added to this list to discuss audio quality also. Yet, now with the announcement that the BBC America required all episodes of The Faceless Ones to be animated in full colour, including the individual episodes that still exist in the archive, those being episode 1 and episode 3, they requested this so the final product was more accessible to a wider audience. This basically means that any future serial will be animated in full, despite there being existing episodes within that serial. The BBC America backing are the only reasons we're getting these animations, so to those complaining, a black and white version will always be included on the home media release, and if the colour version didn't exist, we wouldn't get the animation full stop. So stop complaining when you have the option to watch it in black and white anyway. So let's look at the list. The stories that reach the criteria of high quality
He's
audio.
got the editing method as well.
Yeah.
And low amount of characters are Evil of the Daleks, The Abominable Snowman, and The Smugglers. The hardest being the Daleks' Master Plan, The Crusade, and The Massacre. Yet I'm not convinced. Let's look through each individual serial in this list and discuss its possibility using primarily these factors: episode count, the amount of characters, and audio quality. We'll start with the hardest to the easiest. It's clear the Daleks' master plan is a beast. 12 episodes is an unreasonable amount for a team with a small budget to make, and it contains a whopping 42 characters. As someone who's made their own reconstruction of the serial, there are so many sets and locations that it really seems impossible for this to happen. BBC America made these recent animations possible, and unless there was a lot more money involved in this project, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Yet, on a positive note, the audio from the Randolph tapes and the Graham Strong recordings are considered high quality. But let's be real, the Daleks are in it, so that may be a good enough selling point to get more backers. The Crusade
but the thing is, though, 12 episodes, 42 characters. That's a lot.
That's a lot of characters.
And
There are 42 characters and not even in one story of.
And also, I think from like episode 7 to 10, every episode is a different set.
Jeez.
Yeah. Anyway.
I only have 2 episodes missing, but it has 31 characters, and that's not including the insane amount of extras the serial has also. The story also suffers from poor audio, recorded by David Holman. It's also a tougher sell due to it being a pure historical, and I mainly state this because all of the recently animated episodes have been futuristic stories or involve some alien menace of sorts. There is no factual evidence to say that they wouldn't animate a historical though. This is also heavily mentioned due to being the only missing episode of season 2 and would fit perfectly on a collection box set. But more on that later. Yet because of the poor audio quality and the amount of character work, I find it difficult to believe the story will be animated anytime soon.
I don't think it's... I think the Crusade might be last out of anything.
Yeah.
Not just because of the characters, but the black face as well. It's a bit awkward.
Yeah. It'd be really awkward for someone. So yeah, wouldn't it be faster they didn't do that?
Yeah, and I'm okay with the telesnaps. They're not bad, but I would love to see it. It just annoys me.
Massacre has 24 characters and 4 episodes to animate. The audio survives from Graham Strong's recordings, and the Randolph tapes also covered the serial. Both are considered high quality. Since this is a historical story, it may be more difficult to sell, but I think for fans it is a great story that puts Stephen Taylor in prominence and also gets to see William Hartnell play a different character. It also features the introduction of Dodo, and I feel as if this serial meets many of the criteria.
I mean, you don't like Dodo, do you?
And wouldn't be impossible to animate, but it is unlikely to be coming out anytime soon. Marco Polo has 7...
The problem is the Massacre.
Yeah.
Massacre has no telesnaps, no surviving footage. The audio quality's poor, and it's fucking dark. It's like literally everyone fucking dies. So yeah, it's probably again one of the last ones. Too many characters as well. It's a hard sell because it's a Dr. Light story too.
Yeah.
7 episodes to be animated and has 20 characters. David Holman's audio is considered the highest quality recording of this story, but is still quite poor. Many people discuss Marco Polo as an obvious choice to be animated due to the collection Blu-ray sets, since this is the only missing story from season 1 that hasn't been animated. So it would make sense to animate this story to complete a box set. Chris Chapman, who works on the Blu-ray range, has mentioned that these projects are completely separate, and if any animations do come out, they will be included on the box sets, but they have no say over what gets animated. I discuss how I believe the missing episodes will be animated on my previous episode of Doctor Who Speculation, Missing Episodes on Blu-ray. Due to its high number of episodes and characters and poor audio quality, I find it difficult to believe that this serial will be animated anytime soon. It's considered a bit of a classic within the Doctor Who community, so who knows? The Faceless Ones has 6 episodes and 18 characters and has high quality audio. Wait a minute, you might be saying, that's being animated. And you're right, and I've included it to get a rough idea to the future of missing episode animations. If 6 episodes and 18 characters is the biggest we'll ever get, Power only having 14 characters in comparison, is this the point of approval? Does everything after this serial on the list count as a possibility? Maybe. The Savages has 18 characters with a total
So
of 4.
that is encouraging. That means most of them can be done.
Yeah, most of them. The only ones that people would, out of the ones above, that I would assume people would love to do is Dalek's Master Plan.
All the fucking... All the ones above Faceless ones I would want to see.
Yeah.
It's just a shame the hard ones are the good ones.
Yeah. If it was a bad episode, people are like, you know what, that's fine. You have to do that.
Yeah. But it is encouraging that most of them can be done on the budget.
Yeah, that is encouraging.
We just might not get blackface, that's all.
I don't know.
4 episodes to be animated. Graham Strong and the Randolph Tapes audio recordings are considered high quality. This underrated gem is a departure story for Stephen Taylor. It consists of quite a few sets, but I wouldn't say many more than the Faceless ones. It does have a costume change for the Doctor, which would affect animation time also. This story meets the 3 criteria fairly well, so it's a possibility that this will be animated in the future. The Wheel in Space has 6 episodes to be animated, with 17 characters in the story. Graham Strong's audio is considered high quality. This is an interesting one and involves a conspiracy theory of mine. Episode 1 was turned into a cut-down reconstruction for the Missing Believed Wiped event. I believe, with no basis of fact, that this was the beginning of the animation team's master plan. This plan was to show potential bidders that they wanted to animate all the missing episodes in colour, including orphan episodes. Or it was just to showcase their work, who knows. I believe the Wheel in Space is on their list of episodes to do, but it's in no rush. Since this story meets the criteria and features the Cybermen, I find it difficult to believe it wouldn't be animated in the future. The Highlanders has 4 episodes to animate with 17 characters. The Randolph Tapes and the Graham Strong audio recordings are considered high.
This one was almost done instead of Macroterra. The only reason they didn't do it is that it has too much tartan.
That guy on the right looks a bit like Mark Ghost.
Yeah, it's just the kilts, the tartan. That was the only hard part.
Yeah.
Quality. The serial also contains a scene where the Doctor is in drag, which is iconic, but it does add extra costumes. There were rumours that this episode was to be animated after Power of the Daleks, but that didn't happen. More on that later. This rumour has gone further, saying they were choosing between the Highlanders and the Macroterra, and ultimately chose to do Macra instead, due to there being less tartan in the serial. Since this story has few episodes, a decent amount of characters, and quality audio recordings, there is a good chance that the animation of this serial will happen. Fury from the Deep has 6 episodes to animate with 16...
Highlanders is also Jamie's introduction, so it's important.
Yeah.
characters. Graham Strong's audio is considered high quality.
This one needs the animation. It's fucking amazing.
The serial sees the departure of Victoria Waterfield and also has some of the spookiest imagery from Doctor Who ever made. It's been a contender for animation for many years in rumour, ever since The Power of the Daleks came out, with literal no basis apart from how good would this be? Also possibly because it followed the Web of Fear and would close Victoria's story. I think this story is begging to be animated. It has the right amount of episodes.
It's fucking, it's a great story. One of the most atmospheric soundtracks ever, so you can animate to a great soundtrack. First appearance of the Sonic Screwdriver, and the last appearance of Victoria. So it's a very important one.
Characters and great audio recordings. The Mythmakers has 4 episodes to animate with 15 characters. David Holman and Richard Lambman's recordings are incredibly low quality and is most notably poor when background music is played. It's also a comedy episode, which is a bit harder to translate to animation.
And I fucking hate it.
Audio quality and the comedy angle, I find it difficult to believe that this story will ever be animated unless higher quality audio recordings are found. The Celestial Toymaker has 4 episodes to animate with 15 characters. The Randolph tapes and Graham Strong's audio recordings are considered high quality. This is an awkward story because the guest cast constantly change costumes and new sets are prominent in each episode, which means making new assets for each episode. It also contains a high amount of action due to the characters playing games. Due to the high quality audio and the prestige that it has between fans, it wouldn't surprise me if the story was animated. The Underwater Menace has 4 episodes to animate with 15 characters. The Randolph tape.
This one's awkward because they were going to do it, and then the BBC is like, nah.
Don't do it.
And Graham Strong's audio recordings are considered high quality. The animation team seem to be focusing on season 4, so it would make sense if they did this serial also. Due to the high quality audio recording, it wouldn't surprise me if they animated this story. It would surprise me less if they only animated the 2 missing episodes, since it would be odd to animate half the entire serial. But if the American backers want it in colour, then I guess all 4 would be animated. The Space Pirates has 6 episodes to animate with 14 characters. The audio was recorded.
See, this one's technically speaking very possible, but it's like the least popular 60s story.
It's is it really, really, really bad?
It's on the worst of list.
Ooh.
by
So yeah,
an
maybe give it a
Australian,
pass.
which
The
exists
thing
in
is, though, if you did do it, it would complete season 6.
Yeah.
high quality. It's the same source that was used for the Invasion animation. This serial is a bit of a space opera that visits quite a few locations, so there are a magnitude of sets for the serial. Fan opinion of the story overall can be seen to be quite low, but I think if it was animated, it would receive quite a reappraisal, similar to how The Enemy of the World was when it was returned.
Nope.
This story is the only serial of season 6 that hasn't been animated, so if there was any linking to the Blu-ray collection box sets, it would make sense to animate this one also. But I don't believe that though. Due to meeting all the criteria, I believe that this could be animated one day. The Web of Fear has only 1 episode missing and has a total of 14 characters. I find it very difficult to believe that they would animate all 6 episodes instead of just 1, so this would probably be its own standalone animation. Hopefully in the vein of previous animations before the Power of the Daleks.
I would say this is last to on the wanted list. The reason being, we know that the missing episode exists. Like, we know that a private collector has it, so why wouldn't you just wait for it to be returned?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it might take like 50 years.
Is that a known fact that they do actually have it?
Yep. 100%, we know it exists.
Right.
So I would say this is last priority.
Yeah, I'd say that's dead last then. If all but one is like there, and even the one that's missing is known to be out there in the world, I think it's fine.
Yes, I'd animate every other episode before this one. It is an important one though, because it's Brigadier's first, but I still think you should just wait for
Oh yeah, but yeah, if like literally all of it are in the archives, I think that's fine. You don't have to animate.
More sense for this episode to be black and white and 4:3 just to simply match the surviving 5 episodes. I think out of all the stories to be animated for the Blu-ray collections, this may make it. That's if we're really dreaming. I doubt their budget would allow it. The Smugglers has 4 episodes to be animated and 13 characters.
Yuck.
The Randolph tapes and
This is
Graham
also
Strong's
on the
audio
worst off
recordings
list.
are considered high quality. This story
I've
has
seen
been
it, so
first
no.
adventure in the TARDIS, and it's a strict historical story.
I don't want to watch it again, that's why it's not on the list. It's fucking the most boring Doctor Who story I've ever seen.
Out of all of the Hartnell stories, this one ticks all the boxes. Short amount of episodes, few characters, and great audio recordings. So it seems like a perfect choice to animate the story, and I have no doubt it'll happen sometime in the future. The Abominable Snowman has 6 episodes to animate
this one.
and 12 characters to represent. Graham Strong's recordings are considered high quality. The story also boasts a limited amount of sets, but contains a lot.
I think this should be after Evil of the Daleks. Because it's...
Those locations are bloody gorgeous.
This is a prequel to the Web of Fear, so I think it's essential that they animate this.
large amount of location filming, so how easy that would be to replicate is unknown.
Yeah, I
think
really
this
like
story
location
has the
there.
possibility of being
It's the
animated
Himalayas.
due to meeting the criteria, and also featuring the Yeti, which are a popular Who villain. The Evil of the Daleks has 7 episodes to animate and 11 characters to represent. Graham Strong's recordings are considered high quality. I think it would make sense for the next animation to be The Evil of the Daleks, due to the story of the Faceless Ones leading directly into it. Like I mentioned earlier, The Highlanders was rumoured to be completed after The Power of the Daleks, and basically that taught us to expect the unexpected. It also makes sense because the Daleks are profitable, and the animation team seem to be favouring the Patrick Troughton Doctor rather than William Hartnell. I think due to the Daleks...
Is there a William
the high
Hartnell
quality
animation yet, or
audio,
no?
and the
Yes,
amount of
there's 2.
characters, it is a
Reign of Terror and The 10th Planet.
Okay.
But those weren't by this team.
Right. That's what I'm not saying. Like, I'm assuming this team has only just done Troughton.
Yeah. Oh, they've done Tom Baker as well. They did Sharda.
Oh yeah, sure, I remember.
good chance of being animated, and if we're lucky, it'll be up next. Galaxy 4 has only 4 episodes to animate, with only 9 characters. So
This one's already kind of gotten an animation though, but it's a bit weird. It's like a BBC like shit one. It's not cartoon. It's like half stills, half like 3D animation. It's really odd.
Yeah, for me, from face value, I feel like if it's just poor quality and it has a low amount of characters and a low amount of episodes in comparison to the rest, I feel like you don't have to do this straight away. You can just leave it, and not many people will be fussed.
Yeah, it's
Like I think,
and it's
other
already
ones you can do.
it's already got its own reconstruction on the Aztec Special Edition anyway.
Yeah.
It's,
sadly, this episode suffers from poor audio, but not distractingly poor in my opinion. This story is possibly one of the easiest to animate of the bunch. I say this due to the limited amount of sets, since there is only 4 major sets, one of them being the TARDIS interior. I think this one
It's
is likely
like-
to be
it's like William Hartnell's 42.
Though it is probably more interesting, at least.
Oh,
I don't know.
I think I'd probably say 42.
Would you say 42 is for? Well, yeah, 42 is short, actually.
I'd say 42 is better.
Plus, it's probably got better production, and it's got David Tennant in it.
I would say 42 is better than Galaxy 4.
Plus, it's in Series 3.
animated in the future, and if they wanted to approach a cheaper Hartnell to test the waters, this would be a pretty safe bet. Yet, due to the audio quality, it may stop that from happening. Mission to the Unknown has only 1 episode to animate
Unnecessary.
and has 9 characters. The audio recording was
It's
done by David.
already been animated. Not
Plus, we've already got a full recreation in
Yeah.
live action.
yeah, it's already been animated anyway. So you don't.
It'd be really weird to do it within the next 2 years. It'd be really weird to do that.
Yeah, you don't need to animate this. It's already been animated.
I feel like this is just above the other story that you said was dead last.
Web of Fear. Oh, I'd say it's honestly this one should be last because it's already been animated. You don't need to do it again.
Yeah, true. So yeah, plus since we've already got the live action one, it doesn't really matter
Yeah,
in the end.
you don't need 3 versions.
Yeah, it's just overblown at that point.
The only thing I'd be interested in is the real one.
It doesn't exist in great quality. It's easy to think that this episode will be animated due to its simplistic nature. It's the same reason why Ian Levine commissioned David Bush to animate the episode, to use as a pitch for the BBC, who never really asked for it in the first place. Yet, with the UClan Mission to the Unknown recreation, it makes more sense for that to be the version that is represented on the home media range, alongside a Telesnap reconstruction. But never say never. Due to the short amount of episodes, not many characters, and the poor audio recordings, its possibility really is a guessing game. I think it really relies on what the BBC plan to do with the UClan recreation, and if how they'd want to represent the original production alongside it. So, that's just looking at the bare facts, characters and episode numbers. But who really cares about facts? What would you just love to see? For me, there is nothing I'd love more than to see the Daleks Master Plan animated, so I can finally stop making reconstructions of it. I'd also love to see the Savages redone, since it was the first story I attempted to reconstruct, and features the departure of Stephen Taylor, who is one of my favourite companions of all time. I think that stories that are important to the wider story of Doctor Who are important to me. This means companion departures and entrances to the show. So stories like The Massacre, The Highlanders, The Wheel in Space,
The really hard ones.
Mythmakers, Fury from the Dead,
Yeah.
Evil of the Daleks,
Apart from
you know,
Evil.
just to name a few. Putting it like that really shows how much we're missing, isn't it? We aren't just missing great stories, we've lost important character moments. But are these episodes gone for all eternity, destined just to be animations, or could the original prints still be out there? Speculating on which episodes may exist can be quite difficult. Some stories, such as Marco Polo, had 9 prints that circled the globe, yet none exist in the archive. Then there's stories such as the Daleks Master Plan that shipped out only 1 print, but manages to have 3 episodes surviving in the archive, those being episodes 2, 5, and 10. So in theory, the more prints that exist, the likelihood of that serial existing should increase. Then why don't we have any episodes of Marco Polo in the archive? Paul Venezes said in the Radio Free Scaro podcast that there was no question that there are missing episodes in private film collections. Film collectors are a tricky bunch in a way that they have preserved lost media when it could have been junked, so we should be thankful. But of course, as obsessive Doctor Who fans, we just want to see the episodes. But considering the alternative, that being a pile of cinder, isn't it better that they're in a safe collection and that one day they'll be able to grace the public again? Or, you know, just storm Ian Levine's house. They can't stop all of us. I just threw Ian Levine's name out. We have no evidence to say that he has missing episodes. It's just a joke. Paul also said that there are only 1 or 2 episodes that he knows are in private hands, not hundreds or anything crazy. Yet it's interesting to speculate what these episodes may be. I think most likely they could be episodes of Marco Polo, 10th Planet 4, or the Daleks Master Plan Episode 4. 10th Planet 4 and the Daleks Master Plan 4 were episodes borrowed by Blue Peter and they were never returned. But returning to the returned oddities such as the Daleks Master Plan episodes you can't really guess is truly an unknown. I'm expecting comments saying, I hate animations, why don't they just use deepfake technology? Which is a topic for a whole other video. Basically saying why it's not really financially possible to do any of that yet. But today, we're discussing the future that seems to be in place. What story out of these would you like to see animated, regardless of impossibility? Don't forget to subscribe to the official
Daleks
Josh
Master
Knows
Plan, I
YouTube
guess.
channel.
Yep.
Since that's the biggest one.
Absolutely. Anyway, check out Josh Snare's channel. He's got great content. Fans. But yeah. Someday
We'll get them all.
the best.
I think in like 20 years they'll probably all be.
Yeah, the best part about that video is that everything below the faces ones is possible. That's encouraging. It's just sadly the ones.
Exactly.
It's just,
That's what's nice to hear. Is like with it being very high before it was even announced, people would probably consider it being like highly unlikely. The fact they have done it is very encouraging for everything else.
It's just annoying because the Daleks Master Plan, the Massacre, and the Crusade are above it. And those are 3 I want to see.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, who knows? We'll have to relive. We'll have to fucking live with telesnaps for now.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway, anything else you want to say about?
No, I think I've done everything.
All right. Well, this was a fun little EDAR for the Patreon.
Sure. Yeah.
So let us know what you think of this, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.